Hey, I'm about to take the Sherman to Overheat Hill and do the very first true stress test of this wheel. But before I do that, I'm going to open up the wheel and inspect some wiring, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But before I do that, I'm going to show you something else that's been happening with this wheel. Okay, what I'm going to try and show you is some vibration that has started popping up the last day or so. If you can see the display vibrating back and forth a little bit. I think you can see it happening there. Now I don't feel it when I'm riding, but definitely when I'm stopped. Sometimes it'll start doing that. Now this is a classic case of a loose control board. Either that or the axle nuts are loose. I doubt the axle nuts are loose. You never know, but I think it's the control board. And this wheel has 918 kilometers on it, over 500 miles. So let's open up and see what we see. The handle needs to come off, and it's just attached with 4 Phillips. They do use a lot of these Phillips screws. I really wish I'd prefer cap head socket type screws. Much less likely to strip the head of the screw. And these are just simple tapped, look like kind of self-tapping screws. Not the best for sure. And that's that. And there appear to be only 4 screws holding this top on, I think. And these are machine screws, so that's nice. Also, I put a few hundred miles on this wheel and a lot of dirt and dusty trails too. So it's gonna be curious to see what the condition of the inside is and the control board. Okay, ready access to the inside here, and interesting. So there is access into the inside of the shell from here. I thought this was totally enclosed, and I see no dust. I mean, this wheel has been covered in dust from dirt trail riding. So it's a really good sign, because there are these vents that suck air through here. At least on top of the control board, I don't see anything. Okay, looks like there are only 4 screws holding the control board to the chassis. 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. And they're not very substantial screws. The other side looked tight, but I'm going to show you this one here. You see that wiggling? I did not do anything. So now I imagine the New York guys, I think they opened this up, but I suspect they didn't remove the control board. So I think this is just the way it was. And they put some kind of a material here to try and keep this from moving. But to tell you the truth, it's something flexible. I don't think that's very effective. So yeah, this is really loose. So I just cranked down that a fair amount. And this one was not that loose. Another 2 are tight. So let me turn it back on and see what happens. Okay, that didn't help. I'm sure you can see that vibration and hear it. So, let's see. So I don't know. And to tell you the truth, I'm just having doubts whether it wasn't always there. It's always felt like a powerful wheel. So tomorrow when I'm up towards Overheat Hill, I'm going to demonstrate for you really quickly this effect. And some of you may have seen a video by Echo Drift where they're forcing the wheel into this really powerful vibration mode. And I can kind of do the same thing. So I think it's probably some fine tuning with the firmware that needs to get done. It's definitely nothing loose in this control board. But if nothing else, I proved to myself that there's no dust in there, because trust me, this wheel was filthy. You know, if it was like the King Song 16X, it would have been filled with dust. So that's really encouraging. So now I'm going to open up the side. Wow, this does look very simple to get into. I mean, that control board area is very accessible. So that's cool. If you do have to replace a control board down the road for who knows why. Thought you could take this off without taking the pedals off. I think you need to take the pedals off. Okay, so what am I looking for here? Many of you know Kuji, and on his wheel he had a case of some melting wires, or at least the insulation looked like it was melting right around here. And I can see, well, I don't see any evidence of melting, but I do see this is there's an indentation. Let me zoom in the camera. You see this right here? This mark on the cable, and that looks like it corresponds to right here. Yeah, this ridge right here is pressing against that cable, which you wouldn't generally want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually file that ridge down on the plastic, just to there's no point in having that there. Now I'm doing this because Veteran has asked me to, and eWheels has asked me to, and of course eWheels isn't shipping these out yet. Part of this, what I'm doing, is testing the wheel, and they're very interested in seeing what's going to happen with Overheat Hill, and they just wanted to make sure my cabling looked good, and I want to look at it too, because after we do the stress test tomorrow, I'm going to open up again and see how it looks. And by the way, I have done some pretty tough hill climbing on this wheel already, so I'm not seeing anything. And as best I can tell, they're using 14 gauge, and it feels to me like it's solid wire. It's not stranded. So it all looks good to me. I'll just file that in a second. I'll show you what I've done and seal it back up. Okay, hopefully you can see from this angle. I used a Dremel and I just cut away a bunch of this rib. There's still a little bit of the rib left. That certainly will leave any pressure on that cable. Now, before I button this up, I did check these, and I wouldn't say they're loose, but I was able to turn them about a quarter. And I tell you, it's amazing how sensitive sometimes these things, these wheels are, the gyro. So they're nice and tight now. So I'm going to open up the other side and do the same thing. See if that helps with the vibration. All right, so there will no longer be pressure right here. And I know there's been some comments that they don't have the spring relief that you'll see on the Gotway wheels. I'm not really sure if it's necessary on this wheel, because the batteries are quite a bit thicker. There's definitely more room in this, so there's really not too much pressure on this cable. So I don't know if the spring is useful. The spring relief couldn't hurt her, I suppose. Also, I want to point out, just I was curious, so it does use the same, it looks like it's the same axle that's on the Gotway, all the Gotway wheels. So my socket for tightening axle nuts will work on this wheel, and since they use the same identical technique for securing the pedal hangers to the axle, I suppose I might get loose someday. So I've got the technology already in place to fix that, unfortunately. All right, let me open up the other side and see what that looks like. Okay, let's see the other side here. I have to tell you, from a workability point of view, this wheel looks like it's going to be beautiful for working on. Very simple. And again, this thing has been through a lot of heavy dirt, and it's beautiful inside. I don't see anything anywhere on either side. So very good news. All right, let's see if these are at all loose. See, that's about maybe 1/8 of a turn. 1/8 plus. Yep. Let's see, maybe it looks like they're all about 1/8. The other side was kind of like this. So I think I was exaggerating 1/4 of a turn, but good 1/8 of a turn. So let's see if that makes a difference in the vibration. Otherwise, looking good. I do like the construction of this guy. Again, it really looks nice nice way to work on. And even if stuff did get in here, it's very easy to open up the panel and vacuum it out. All right, let's button this guy up. Okay, well, the vibration is still there. I was just curious. I checked my MSP, and it definitely doesn't have any kind of vibration. Sometimes it's hard to remember. You know, like, was this always there? And it's just for some reason I'm thinking about it now. So I just got to think it's related to firmware. Anyway, I'm glad I fixed up the sides, and I know that's going to be taken care of if you buy this from eWheels. Any of you guys who have gotten one of these from other sources, I definitely would advise you to open up the wheel and check that area. I saw another area around where the motor cables went near the battery interconnect cables. So I think that needs to be addressed too. Maybe a little better cable management. In many ways, this is very much like Gotway in that respect. So yeah, open up your Shermans if you didn't get it from eWheels, and check that stuff. Okay, in a flash, you're going to see me at Overheat Hill or in that region, and we'll start the stress testing. Me again, and I'm not at Overheat Hill yet. So I've been in communications with Veteran, and they're suggesting that I do what I've done here. So I've removed this outer coating, which is of course not heat resistant, and I'll insert a picture right now of what their ultimate solution is going to be, which is what they do with, well, Gotway does. They put this heat shielding on the separate power cables. I don't have that material, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use zip ties to separate the 3 wires, and then I'm just going to tape up the hall sensor wires. Interesting, there's 5 of these on this wheel. Gotway wheels have 7 hall sensor wires. 1, 2, 3. I think I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Interesting. So I'm just going to tape these together, kind of keep them separate, and use zip ties to keep these as separate as I can. If I could have separated the cables from the control board, I would have fed maybe one over here, but those have some heat shrink tubing around the screw posts, and that would just be I don't have any of that heat shrink tubing to replace it, so I'm just decided not to touch that. And of course, there's only so much you can do here, limited. Everything has to go through this axle, so they get close here, but we'll separate everything like this, and that'll help with heat resistance anyway. And so you guys who are, again, getting it from eWheels, all this will be, in the production wheels, will be much better than what I'm having to deal with. And all you guys who didn't buy from eWheels, you'll have to take care of this yourself if you're going to ride your wheel in a stressful environment. All right, be back in a second and show you what I did, how I finished this up. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I've done. I have separated the 3 motor wires. So this is kind of in lieu of having a heat resistant sleeve on each wire. And I've used this technique on some Gotway wheels too in the early days when I wanted to do the same thing, keep the hot wires from touching each other. So I've used zip ties to separate them. It's a well-known technique. And then I've used some adhesive cable tie downs, stuck them down a few spots. So these cables are separated from the Hall sensor cables. They're tied down to the shell a few places so nothing can move around. I feel pretty good that everything is separated. So now we are good to go to Overheat Hill. Oh, and by the way, also Veteran has told me that the vibrations have been resolved in a firmware update, and they've offered to give me the firmware update. So I'm leaving it to Jason. He'll decide whether I will do that or someone else will do that test with the updated firmware. But anyway, again, if you're getting it from e-wheels, you'll get the good firmware. You guys who already have the wheels, you'll have to see the dealer that you bought it from. All right, guys, now I'll see you at Overheat Hill. Hey guys, it's the day of reckoning. I'm at Overheat Hill. I'm riding with my longtime riding buddy, Jeff, and he's standing on a hill to make me look like I'm 4 feet tall. But anyway, so Jeff has volunteered with the prompting of Jason and to assist me with Overheat Hill. And so I'm going to...
In other words, we're going to do a real test, none of this lightweight stuff.
Yeah.
230-pound rider-weight up the hill. Can Gotway and Sherman handle it?
So, yes. I've been losing weight, so actually, and we're in a heat wave right now. We're doing this about 8:30, and it's already in the sun. It feels like it's 85 right now. But so we're trying to get this done early. So my riding weight, I'm kind of light gear right now. I have my Leah body tee on, so at least I have my shoulder protection. Jeff went a little more into the protection, but so I'm at about 170, and like you said, he's geared up. He's about 230, so it's going to be a good test. And he's riding his newly acquired MSP. So hopefully, I'm going to ride up Overheat Hill first, and he's going to follow me. Hopefully the MSP survives, otherwise it'll be a shorter test. And then after we make it to the top successfully, we'll travel back down and Jeff will do it. And,
we'll switch wheels. I'll jump on the Sherman. Because this is really a test for the Sherman.
Of course. All right, so the first test is just to kind of warm up. We'll go up this kind of steep climb here and see how it goes. Now I should say that I can monitor the temperature on the wheel, and I have darkness spot running. So I'm at 49 degrees here, and so far I've never seen it go above 65.
Well, I suppose we'll find out.
What does the stick do?
It's got a camera on it.
Oh, I see.
And I spun out!
Rule number 1, never ride too close to Marty.
Yes. The problem is it's really rocky here. I have a hard time getting going. Just gonna walk it off. It's really loose here. Lots of ruts. Once you stop, it's tough. Well, that was an auspicious beginning. I don't do much walking today. Temperature's at 56.
Why, because you posted now?
62 degrees. Jeff made it no problem. I just wanted to show you this vibration where it really knows that if you go through loose dirt like this, see if I can get it to happen. I think you're seeing that. Anyway, that's going to be fixed in the next update to the firmware. You guys shouldn't have to worry about that. Okay, we are at the precursor to Overheat Hill. This is a good challenging hill. Jeff burned up a monster going up this once, racing up it. So it's a good warm up, get a sense of where we're running. I'm at 4 degrees C and 51, so he's running a little cooler. Let's see how this goes. Don't follow me too close.
Hell no. Shit, you have a tendency to stop or fall off.
Thank you. It's working, but it's not clicking and grinding like these Gatway motors, so something's a little different. .4 degrees. What's yours?
57.
All right, running cooler. The heavyweight.
A real man.
Yeah.
None of this lightweight shit. Eat your heart out, Jericho. And Haywood. And don't forget Frank.
Yeah, okay.
This is for you, Frank.
So now what I'm going to do is, this is really steep, so I love this feature. I can adjust the tilt, and I'm going to add 2 degrees forward tilt, which will just make it more comfortable for braking, which works just fantastic on this wheel. Alright, so let's go down. Trust me. Okay, it's good.
Shit, I'm hotter at the bottom than I was at the top. 70 feet.
Let's see, what am I at?
That's weird.
I jumped out of advanced mode. 65 degrees C. Yeah, warmer too. Whew. All right, well, next stop, Overheat Hill.
Up to you.
Oh, this is interesting. Wheels beeping at me.
You got an overheat condition?
Yeah, it looks like it. 64 when I'm moving. I kind of assumed this wheel was going to overheat at 79 like all the others.
Maybe not. Maybe that's something to ask Linnea.
Yeah, because the Nikolai, that was an unusual wheel from Galway, and it overheated at 65.
If they really wanted to protect their board, that would be one way of doing it.
Yeah, so we might have to let it cool down a little bit before we...
I think if we're just going to be on level ground for a while, as long as you go
Yeah.
5-10 miles an hour, it'll cool it down faster in motion.
63 now. Let's see what beats. So it's 62 degrees. And it's kind of stopping. Okay, I'm gonna let it cool down for a while. I'm gonna let it cool down here. We don't know what's going on inside. Okay, Overheat Hill, ready to go. I want to say I ignore everything we were talking about with the overheat. It turned out when I was messing with the buttons to try and get to a setting, I pressed too long and I changed the high speed alarm. You know, you can change that. You can turn it off or you can set it to something. So it was off and I hit the button one more time, so it reverted to 12 kilometers per hour. So that's
He's not good with computers. So
yeah.
Cut him some slack.
So that's why it was beeping. So nothing about overheat. Okay, I'm at 54. You're
52.
And let's see how it goes.
Ascend.
Boy, this motor is vibrating.
Wheel down.
Well, crap. All I can do is laugh. And it sounded like some fireworks going off in there. Oh, man.
Did it cut out?
Are you kidding? You see the black smoke?
No, I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
So you killed it.
It sounded like I was cooking popcorn.
Oh, shit.
Ah. Oh well.
I'm sorry, dude, but at least we know there's no sense in putting my heavy weight on that thing.
Nope.
So it does have its limitations.
It has its limitations. Yeah. I think under normal, riding like what we've been doing, it's been okay, but this hill is just too much. And I don't think, when I get home, I'll open it up. Based on what I see happen, I don't think the wires melted. I think the MOSFETs is blue.
I can almost tell you with assuredly that is a MOSFET pop smell.
Oh.
And I, of course, am the world's premier expert on such things.
Exactly.
There is a distinct smell to a MOSFET pop, and that's what I smell.
Well, plus the fact you hear it. I've heard this before, so it's. But anyway, it'd be good to know that the wires didn't melt, and it's a control board issue.
Start doing more lean cuisine, a little less in and out.
Yeah, I'm too fat. So here's the issue, Jeff. How am I going to get this 70-pound wheel down the hill? Okay.
Well, you've got to figure out how to get it to where we started, and then you can either do the loopy lift or I'll give you a lift.
I would greatly appreciate if you could give me a lift.
But, I mean, I'd bring my truck in here if I didn't think I'd get arrested.
I know.
Because I have a four-wheel drive, but...
I'm going to say goodbye for a little bit, guys, until I figure out how to get this down the hill. It's going to be a
but I can tell you how
major pain.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to trolley it down, and you're going to stop, and you're going to rest, and you're going to drink water, and it's going to take you probably several hours. And I got to go to work, so
Jeff is abandoning me. That's what he's telling me. Oh well. See you guys in a little while. Okay, guys, this is how I got to take it down this hill. This is going to take forever. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of water. This is going to take forever, and at the bottom of this hill, eventually, I got to go up too. The gate is locked. This particular gate, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Have to call someone to try and get out. Jeff had to abandon me. Guess he's got some work later in the day, and he doesn't want to deal with a 70-pound wheel. I don't blame him. He doesn't have any water either. So if you see this video, I made it out. And if you never hear from me, well, I guess you won't see this video. I'll see you in a while. Okay, I made it down. Took me about an hour. I'm dead. Oh God. It's like 90 degrees here, not a cloud in the sky in Southern California. Oh, that was murder. This was what I was afraid of with taking this kind of a wheel back like this where something happens. Thank God the trolley handle didn't break. I was able to, the motor isn't frozen. So at least I was able to wheel it down, but it's got like 70 weight pulling on you or pushing it up. Kind of dehydrated. I have some water, but I got my wife is gonna come pick me up. It'll take her half an hour to get here, and then this gate is locked. This coronavirus thing, they've locked a lot of entries to the parks, but not all of them. So you can get in here, you just can't get out all of them. So great. There's a number I'm gonna call. It's a Sunday. Hopefully I can get through. Oh man. Well, to me it doesn't really take too much shine off this wheel, because I think I had alluded to the fact that I was probably going to be still using my MSP for these kind of hills. It's just the weight, the massive amount of weight. It just the control electronics just don't have it. We'll see when I open it up if any of the wires melted. I'm betting the wires did not melt, and it was just a control board that fried. So just like the Nikola, it was refined and it's been great. Early days. So any of you guys who bought the wheel, didn't buy it from eWheels, don't stress test it like this anyway, and you'll probably be okay. We'll talk to you in a little while. So Jeff is coming to the rescue. He owns an electrician business, and as you can see the truck he has, he's gonna be able to get the wheel from over the gate. It's nice to have people and friends in high places, so to speak. So you think this is gonna work?
Of course it's gonna work. All you gotta do is hook the wheel on. Let me pull up a couple of feet.
You think I need to wrap the chain, or if once you have it under tension, I don't think it'll come off.
Huh?
I don't think once it's under tension, I don't think it'll come off.
Well, you can pull up the excess with that other chain.
Here?
No, the thinner chain. That's a point.
This doesn't seem to be doing any. Wait. Okay.
I have to get a picture of this.
I love it. Can you get me in it too, maybe?
Oh, you bet. Come stand up next to the fence right underneath the wheel. That's perfect. Oh, we want to see your face. Now you gotta smile like you're having a good time.
Yeah.
Because these are the times.
Yeah. Well, guys, it pays to have friends who own their own business. With what kind of truck is this called?
It's a bucket truck.
Bucket truck, yeah. Okay, and I'll try and get over the fence my own way. Well, I did make it out of the hills. And a big thanks to Jeff again for the use of a crane to get this out of that locked park. If it wasn't for him, I'd still be stuck in there probably. What an experience. I finally rusted up. Yeah, I was afraid of something like that with this massive wheel. It's just not a fun experience to get this out. But anyway, I made it. And I hope you don't mind my use of a Premiere video for this. But I figured if this content isn't good for Premiere, what is? Because, right, you know, like, is the wheel going to survive Overheat Hill? So I made you guys suffer watching it all the way through to the end if you watched it during the premiere. And I also want to thank Jason of eWheels and Lene of Veteran. They're the ones that encouraged me to do this test. I mean, Jason said, you know, try and break it. You know, stress test it. We want to see what the limits are. So you have to give them a big thumbs up for that willingness, and they're not censoring me at all in this video or the content, whatever I'm putting out here. You know, these are my own thoughts. Personally, I don't think there's anything that they can do in the electronics unless it's a next generation type control board, which I don't see coming, to be able to get a wheel as massive as this up that kind of a hill. I just don't think it's going to happen. But you saw the other hills I was riding this wheel with. I think, you know, now that I know what this sounds like, if I ever hear this grinding away, I'm just going to get off the wheel immediately. But for the vast majority of hills, this is beautiful. I don't ride Overheat Hill unless I'm doing a test at this point. It's a risky place to take a wheel, and it's not really all that fun. So most people aren't doing that. So I'm still, if there's any doubt, I'm still stoked about this wheel, and I can't wait to get my personal copy. You know, fundamentally, it's going to be a cruiser, and where I can do some off-road. But I'll be probably using the MSP for any kind of Overheat Hill type stuff. But it's good to know the limits of the wheel, right? So when I open this up, like I said before, I think the wiring is going to be good, but I don't know, of course. And I think it's just it's going to be the electronics. So it will be good anyway to see. There was a massive amount of current flowing through this motor. You could just tell. So if the wiring looks good, then that's something from this test. Anyway, we shall see. Okay, let me get the camera closer here so you can see. Okay. Whew, it stinks in there. Okay, well, I don't know if you could see when this happened, there was a lot of smoke pouring out of here. So obviously it must have been coming from these vents. I don't see any evidence of heat stress on these motor wires. Nothing down here. Just the soot from the... What happens when you take MOSFETs and you vaporize them? This is really encouraging though. I don't see any stress down here. That's good. I think this is the same gauge wiring that Galway's been using for last couple of years. And once they changed to the heavier gauge, this is 14 gauge. It used to be 16 gauge. Once they made that change, we no longer had the melting wires on the Galway side. Okay, let's open up the control board section now. Before we leave this, I brought out the magnifier glass. Actually, now this is in 4K, so you should be able to see this. There was melting. The cable ties started melting. Here, over here, some melting. I see that as a beautiful sign because that meant that the wires were getting really hot, but my use of the cable ties served the function of keeping the wires separate so that they couldn't melt anything. Separate from the Hall sensor cable wires so that they wouldn't melt if they touched this, because I've had that happen on one Galway wheel, which destroyed the motor. So that's good. So if they install that fiberglass heat sheathing on the individual wires for the production motors, then I think we're good. Well, I'm not sure what to say about that. Let's see if I can get a brighter light in here. Do you think that control board can be salvaged? But again, well, it sounds crunchy. I don't think we have any case, so I was right. I don't see any evidence of cable melting. It's all just the power electronics can't handle it. Okay, so there was a capacitor there. This capacitor looks trashed, and just, I don't know. It's hard to say what else is. The MOSFETs, these all MOSFETs still exist, but I'm pretty sure the leads probably are gone. All right, well, I guess that's it. I'm just going to disconnect the batteries and wait to see what the plan is with this wheel. Maybe I'll get a new control board. And I was having so much fun with this wheel. Had about 400 miles on it when this happened. All right, guys, I guess that concludes the Overheat Hill stress test of the Veteran. I hope you got something useful out of this, or it was entertaining at some level. And I hope this hasn't discouraged any of you who put a deposit down on this to get one. Now I have no vested interest in, I'm not selling these. I'm saying that from the perspective of not wanting you to miss the opportunity of riding such a beautiful wheel, because if you just use this as a wheel like you've been seeing me ride it, oh, it's such a great experience. And for a lot of off-roading, it's a great experience. Just don't take it up hills like Overheat Hill. So I hope this hasn't taken too much of a shine off the whole experience. And there's nothing being hidden, so you know what's going on here. And we'll probably get some additional information maybe from veteran. We'll see. Either maybe I'll post something right after this segment if I hear something from them, or there'll be something in the description, any kind of a statement from Jason or Lene veteran. All right, guys, I will see you later.